Have you ever wondered what pushes someone to betray their country, their comrades, their own people? What turns a trusted ally into a reviled traitor? Today, we journey into the dark corners of history, into the lives of individuals whose names have become synonymous with treachery. This is Shadows of Betrayal, the chilling stories of history's most notorious traitors. Let's start in ancient Rome, with a name you surely know, Marcus Junius Brutus. Often remembered as the primary assassin of Julius Caesar, Brutus was once Caesar's protege and close friend. Caesar even pardoned him after he fought on the opposing side in a civil war. So what happened? Brutus, a staunch believer in the Roman Republic, was convinced by other senators that Caesar's ambition was a threat. They argued Caesar wanted to become a king, destroying the republic they held dear. Torn between his loyalty to his friend and his devotion to Rome, Brutus made a fateful choice. On the Ides of March, 44 BC, he led a group of senators to strike Caesar down in the Senate House. His act, immortalized by Shakespeare with the dying words "Et tu, Brute," and "you, Brutus," has been debated for centuries. Was he a patriot saving the republic, or a traitor who murdered his mentor? This ambiguity is what makes his story so compelling. The tragic irony is that his actions didn't save the republic. Instead, they plunged Rome into a new round of civil wars, ultimately paving the way for the rise of the Roman Empire. Now, let's fast forward a couple of thousand years to the American Revolution. The name Benedict Arnold is so infamous in the United States that it is still used as an insult for a traitor. Arnold started as one of the Revolution's most brilliant and heroic figures. He was a skilled general, courageous in battle, and instrumental in early American victories, most notably the Battle of Saratoga. This was a turning point in the war, convincing France to join the American side. But Arnold felt he was constantly overlooked, passed over for promotions, and falsely accused of corruption by his political rivals. His pride was wounded, and he grew deeply resentful and indebted. Compounding this, his second wife had loyalist sympathies. This toxic mix of ambition, bitterness, and influence led him down a dark path. He secretly negotiated with the British, offering them the strategic fort at West Point, which he commanded, in exchange for money and a commission in the British Army. The plot was a spectacular failure. His British contact was captured, the incriminating papers were found, and Arnold had to flee for his life, barely escaping to a British warship. He did become a brigadier general in the British Army and led raids against his former countrymen, sealing his legacy as America's most notorious traitor. He died in London, a man without a country, reviled by the nation he helped create and never fully trusted by the one he had joined. Let's cross the Atlantic to Norway during World War II, and meet a man whose name became an international word for traitor, Vidkun Quisling. Quisling was a politician who founded a fascist party in Norway in the 1930s. He was a great admirer of Adolf Hitler and shared his ideology. Before the German invasion of Norway in 1940, Quisling met with Hitler and urged him to occupy his own country, believing he would then be installed as the leader of a new, Nazi-aligned government. When Germany did invade, Quisling saw his chance. He went on the radio and declared himself the head of a new government, ordering all Norwegians to stop resisting the invaders. This act of blatant treachery was so shocking that his name, Quisling, quickly became a synonym for collaborator or traitor in English and other languages. His puppet government was deeply unpopular, and he was despised by the vast majority of Norwegians who continued to resist the occupation. After the war, when Norway was liberated, Quisling was arrested, tried for high treason, and executed. His story is a stark reminder of how personal ambition and twisted ideology can lead someone to betray their entire nation to a foreign power. From political and military arenas, let's move into the shadowy world of espionage. Here we find one of the most damaging spy rings of the Cold War, the Cambridge Five. This was a group of high-ranking British intelligence officers who were secretly working for the Soviet Union. The most notorious of them was Kim Philby. Recruited by Soviet intelligence while a student at Cambridge University in the 1930s, Philby was a charismatic and well-connected man from the British upper class. He rose through the ranks of MI6, Britain's foreign intelligence service, eventually becoming the head of its anti-Soviet section. Think about that for a moment. The man in charge of catching Soviet spies was himself a Soviet spy. For decades, Philby passed a staggering amount of vital information to Moscow. He exposed British and American agents, sabotaged operations, and compromised countless state secrets. His betrayal had devastating consequences, leading to the deaths of many agents in the field. For years, suspicion swirled around him, but he always managed to talk his way out of trouble, even brazenly facing his accusers. Finally, in 1963, with the net closing in, a fellow spy confessed, and Philby defected to the Soviet Union just before he was to be arrested. He lived out the rest of his life in Moscow, hailed as a hero by the KGB but forever branded a traitor by his homeland. Finally, we turn to a figure from Chinese history, a man whose name is still cursed over 800 years later, Qin Hu. During the Southern Song dynasty, China was at war with the Jurchen-led Jin Empire to the north. General Yue Fei was a brilliant military commander, a national hero who was successfully leading the Song armies to reclaim lost territory. He was on the verge of a major victory that could have recaptured the old capital. But back in the imperial court, the chancellor, Qin Huid, had other plans. He was the leader of a peace faction that argued for appeasement and a negotiated settlement with the Jin. Fearing Yue Fei's success would undermine his political position and disrupt his peace talks, Qin Huid used his influence over the emperor. He had Yue Fei recalled from the front lines on trumped-up charges. The general was imprisoned and ultimately executed, his famous last words supposedly being, "The heavens can bear witness to my innocence." Qin Huid secured his peace treaty, but it came at a great cost of territory and tribute, seen as a national humiliation. To this day, in front of Yue Fei's tomb in Hangzhou, there are cast-iron statues of Qin Huid and his wife, kneeling in shame. For centuries, visitors have spit on these statues and cursed his name, making him the eternal symbol of a traitor who sells out a national hero for personal gain. From Brutus to Qin Huid, these stories reveal a complex and unsettling truth. Betrayal is rarely simple. It's born from a tangled web of ambition, ideology, greed, resentment, and sometimes, even a twisted sense of patriotism. These figures serve as cautionary tales, reminding us of the fragility of loyalty and the devastating consequences that unfold when it's broken. Their actions changed the course of history, leaving scars that are still felt today. What do you think? Were any of these figures justified, or were they all just villains? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the darker side of history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from the shadows. See you next time.